I met a traveler from an antique land who said two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions dread, which yet survives, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Taking up Ozymandias as the first one of Shelley's is probably the most obvious choice I could have made, and yet the sheer grandeur of this work makes it difficult to overlook. Poetry Foundation's guide to the poem describes it best in a single sentence: a poem to outlast empires. The inspiration behind the poem is rather lovely, and Poetry Foundation's documentation of it is worth reading here. Shelley met with his friend Horace Smith, and together they recollected historian Deirdre Siculus's description of a statue of Ozymandias, more commonly known as Ramesses II, who was regarded often as the greatest pharaoh of the Egyptian empire. This Christmas season conversation led to Ozymandias the poem, one that's as much an ode to power as it is an elegy to power. Perhaps not the quintessential romantic poem, but this sonnet has, after all, outlasted empires. Ozymandias is written as a sonnet, an octave and a sestet, but it does not make use of the conventional rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme shifts gradually from one to another and is ultimately A-B-A-B, A-C-D-C-E-D-E-F-E-F. It is written in iambic pentameter. Each line is of 5 iambs, an iamb being a unit that consists of an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. The first line, for instance, would read as, I met a traveler from an antique land. The speaker meets a traveler from an ancient land who describes the statue he has seen. There were two structures in a desert resembling legs, but they did not have a torso mounted on them. Near them, there is what resembles a face buried in the sand, still marked by the emotions it attempted to depict, a wrinkled lip and a sneer. That those emotions are still evident is a note to the artist who sculpted them. On the pedestal, there is an inscription that narrates the glory of the king, a larger-than-life emperor who conquered the lands. And yet, right then, there is nothing left but the broken statue, abandoned in the vast sands that stretch till the end of sight. Where the dilapidated statue suggests the transience of empires against the force of time, the surviving passions on the facial structure symbolizes the power of great art to last against the force of time. And in that, it is both an ode to power and an elegy to it. There are several voices in the poem: the speaker himself, the traveler of the ancient lands, and the king Ozymandias when he speaks through the inscription. The poem has one setting that adds to its mystery and intrigue: a barren desert of boundless golden sands with only the statue in question to interrupt the monotony. Line 11 is particularly ambiguous. The king could be telling the mighty to despair over their insignificance or despair over the epiphany that eventually they will crumble. And while interpreting a second meaning could be a stretch, it makes for a case of dramatic irony. While the finesse is what makes this poem stand out, what has left it indelibly in collective memory is its message. Eventually, what we do with our life is but a dilapidated memory, a story for someone to narrate, a poem for someone to spin.